All right, welcome back to TML Weekly. This is episode 18, as always presented by Bjorn and Don Cherry Sports Grill. So we're excited tonight to announce that starting tonight and going forward, we will have TML Weekly is now available on Instagram Live. So you can tune in there. Just another platform we're going to be available on. And pretty hot topic tonight that everyone's actively keeping an eye on is the Morgan Rielly situation. We're expecting to hear an announcement on that between now and 7 p.m.
Look at this. We're on the global takeover here. We're on Instagram. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. Slowly but surely, boys.
That's right. Yeah, all the kids are using Instagram, so that's good. We get some young viewers, and yeah. So where are we going here? There's lots to talk about, obviously, with what's going on, and where do you want to start, Nolan?
I think we should just dive into the hot topic right now and talk about the Morgan Rielly situation. So, John, you want to start off?
Yeah. So listen, I this is going to surprise absolutely nobody, but I have absolutely zero problem with what happened. And frankly, I love that we actually had a response. I think it's important to remember that it's Morgan Rielly that does something. Morgan Rielly has been in the league for almost a decade and has, 130 minor penalties. The guy he's a gentleman player. He's well respected throughout the league. He's not a goon by any stretch of the imagination. But he's a guy that plays hockey the right way. And the Muffins won't like this. But as I do a weekly show called Coach's Corner with Kara Grace, I got to say, there is a code in the NHL, and the Muffins don't like it, and I really don't care. There are certain things you do, and there's certain things you don't do. And if you want to act like a 13-year-old kid in a hockey tournament that, you've got, 12 goals in already, and you want to get, to the top of the slot and fire in a rocket when you're up, and are going to win the game anyways, you're going to get treated like that 13-year-old kid who deserves, a solid beating. I was proud of Morgan Rielly for standing up for his team. You know what? But I was also proud the way that Nazem Kadri played. I know a lot of people don't like the way that Kadri did. But what I will say to you that is a common denominator here is nobody helps. Nobody helps. And, as proud and as happy as I was that Morgan Rielly showed a little bit of gumption and showed that we're not those punks, that you're going to treat us like that, I was equally disappointed by the reaction that I saw from Max Domi, where Max Domi was just, hey, how's everything? Is everything okay? I'm just going to grab you. Like, we're not going to fight or anything. I don't want to break a nail. Everything's okay. I watched Tavares give the guy a kiss, asked them, where they wanted to go for dinner afterwards, how the kids were doing in school. Mitch came in later, just skated by, waved to everybody, wanted to make sure everybody was okay. Nobody was using curse words. Disappointed from the reaction from the rest of them, which again, I think is indicative of, what I've said all along, that, we've got systematic fundamental problems on this team. But I applaud Morgan Rielly. I really do. We can get into a little bit of the idiosyncrasies of kind of what's happening now and, the Department of Player Safety and their record with the Leafs and, the kind of wild discrepancies that we seem to get that no other team gets to. And I do have numbers that'll back that up. But overall, Morgan Rielly, a couple of stick taps from Uncle Jay on that one. Good job.
You know what? I don't disagree. I with most of what you said. It needed to be answered. I'm in a different position having a 9-year-old coming up and playing. and he was watching the game with me, and my immediate reaction was, as it would have been when I was playing, somebody better get him. And Morgan was the closest guy, and he did what he had to do. Whatever else happened with Domi and Marner and Matthews after that sequence, to me, is inconsequential. The message was sent to Ridley Gregg, and sent in my opinion in an appropriate manner for the action. For every action there's a reaction, and Ridley Gregg's dad played in the NHL. Okay, he's former Leaf, Mark Gregg. So Ridley Gregg grew up in the game. Let's not forget that Ridley Gregg was in NHL arenas when he was growing up, and he was playing, Novice and Adam and Pee Wee, or whatever they're called now, U9, 11. Ridley Gregg knew what he was doing.
100%.
Ridley Gregg wasn't. I'm going to go in here and take a slap shot, and not have any consequences. He knew exactly what he was doing. And the response from Morgan, and like I said, it to me was an appropriate response. Where I kind of have a problem, where when Reeves came out, and I loved that Reeves went on the ice. I was kind of sitting there and I was thinking, what's he going to do right now? Jacques Martin is 100 years old, but he coached in the league when it was
grown men. Yeah.
Tough, and you're accountable. So he knew. And in fairness, I saw Reeves, hey, let's go, and nobody wanted to. But I think that's a time, that's an appropriate time, in my opinion, for a player like Reeves that, is going to be in and out of the lineup. He's brought in for his toughness. He had an opportunity at that moment to, do a John Scott on Phil Kessel, right? Grab the closest guy to you and do what you got to do. He didn't. Dave Clarkson got 10 games for coming off the bench on that one. John Scott got a game or something like that, right? So if Reeves had to jump the guy and, gave him some beats and grabbed another guy and poked somebody on his way to the penalty box, he might have got a game or two. I think there could have been a little bit more response on that shift, but, it is what it is. I hope, I mean, Morgan deserves to get suspended. You can't cross-check somebody in the face and not get anything.
Hold on. To be fair, he hit him in the shoulder, and the stick rolled up. To be fair, I just want to. He didn't cross-check him in the face. He hit him in the shoulder. He was down like that, and the stick came up. I'm not saying it didn't get him in the face, but it wasn't the intent of cross-checking the guy in the face.
And it's not Dale Hunter on Pierre Turgeon, and it's not what some of these people are. In my opinion, it's a couple of games, right? Morgan's a clean guy, like you said, plays the right way, gentlemanly. Never been in trouble with the OPS before. 2 to 3, I would probably think would be a suitable punishment. I think it's going to be 5 to 6. We'll see here, anytime, Nolan, you're watching the ticker there.
Yes, I actually just
got it up too.
It's done?
Yeah,
no, I got it up too. I haven't seen anything come across yet.
Nolan, you break it.
All right, so Kevin Weeks just tweeted out, he's told Maple Leafs Morgan Rielly will receive a 5-game suspension.
Yeah. Good with that.
You know what, though? They'll appeal it. They'll appeal that.
It won't get anywhere. That's a fair one, I think.
I'm sorry, man. That is a garbage call. That's absolute garbage. So
I said 2 to 3, but the way the league is, and that, it's a different animal now. But what Gary Bettman needs to understand, and I get it. I have a 9-year-old kid. I can assure you, my kid, when he's looking at Twitter or not Twitter, but his YouTube and the different hockey media guys that he follows, those social media guys, they're watching Skill, they're watching Showboat, they're watching Michigan's, they're watching unbelievable skill that's out there. Okay, in my day, had there been video available, I'd be watching fights, I'd be watching bench brawls. That's what I wanted to see. Okay. So to speak devil's advocate on this whole thing, I think 5 is a fair number, because I think the league has to, as much as probably everybody in that Department of Player Safety, as well as the NHL, knows what did this kid do that for, right? You can't. It's a bad look to come out and say, "Hey, we would have given Morgan Rielly 10 games had Ridley Gregg not done anything." But we understand that his action, shooting a puck into an empty net. So people that don't understand the sport would be like, "What's the big deal? They just did this last Saturday night at the All-Star game and got cheered for it." Right? I'm with you, but so that's why I'm okay with the 5 games, because there was people that were calling for 25 games. There was people that were they were calling it Dale Hunter like. No, it wasn't. Okay, it was a reaction that needed to happen, like you said, John. I'm okay with the 5 games. That's the least we knew when he got the in-person. It was going to be 5. 5 was the minimum they're going to give him.
Listen, boys, I'm going to tell you something. I am so frustrated right now.
What did you think it would be? What did you think it would be?
I thought when it happened, I thought 3 with a plead to 2. That's what I thought. I thought they were going to say 3 games. I could pull up countless examples.
Yeah, I know.
Countless examples of incidents that took place in the game that were on par or worse. Where never mind, there wasn't a suspension. Fine. There was not even a penalty on the play.
Yeah, and they get a $5,000 fine the next day.
So this is in my, I'm going to say something right now and I'm going to get criticized for it. And I understand I will, and I'm okay with it. This is the muffinization of the game. This is people who are so sensitive to what's going on, who don't like physics. This is the Jen Botterill right now. I guarantee you, Jen Botterill's pouring a glass of wine and toasting people and saying, "Thank God. Isn't it wonderful that things are the way they are now?"
5 games is a win for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm telling you. 5 games is a win.
5 games is criminal. 5 games is
5 games is a win.
For Morgan Rielly on a first-time
You just said it. The muffin. You're talking about the muffin league, whatever you want to say. Okay, they had a lot of pressure on them from one side, the league, and they have people that read the media.
I understand.
They have people that read websites that read the comments.
Listen, I understand, but you gotta also understand the same people that are so outraged about what happened on the ice are the same people that are waiting to be outraged about the next thing tomorrow, and that are waiting to be outraged about the next thing after that. I read Super Bowl just happened. Travis Kelce gets into it because he's caught one pass in the first half and goes in and yells at Andy Reid. I was watching people online talking about it was assault on a coach, and this is indicative of the problem with pro athletes, and they just think that they can do whatever they – and I just went like, this is what's wrong with people and casual fans who now have platforms to say whatever they want and go out and it catches wildfire. It's terrible. It's a crime. It's an absolute crime that Morgan Rielly is getting 5 games for this. It's a crime and something to consider. And I'm going to be called a homer and everything else for this, and I'm okay with it too. The Toronto Maple Leafs, with George Parros and the Department of Player Safety, no team in the NHL has lost more games to suspensions than the Toronto Maple Leafs have.
Yeah, I read that stat.
The only team who has had more than 5 3-game suspensions in the NHL since Parros has been in charge, okay, is the Boston Bruins. So let me ask you this question. Who in the history of life has ever gone, Boston and the Leafs, yeah, they're the same type of team? No. Never. Absolutely never.
Yeah, you could break, you know what, I hear you, but you could go back and look at those, you're talking about the Kadris and the The Matthews cross check on the Buffalo defenseman Dahlin. That was 2 games, right? I don't remember. You know what? Honestly, you're going to have people both ways here. It's very arbitrary, John. Right?
I understand that, but do you ever notice the arbitrary always ends up on the Leaf side? That's all I'm saying. All of these things.
Did it though? Because there's people that think that this one. There's people that think this one's worth 20. I haven't heard anybody say he should not be suspended, and he should absolutely be suspended.
We all agree. No. Let's be very clear, though, John. We absolutely all agree. You got to pay the price. You got to pay the ticket. I'm okay with paying the ticket, but if I can show you 5 other examples where the exact same thing happens, and nothing, no suspension, not a penalty, not anything, and we all go, well, yeah, but that was in a Dallas-Phoenix game, and what are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, Toronto's always in the spotlight too, right? It's national news when somebody on Toronto does something, and somebody in the San Jose Columbus game can, decapitate another guy and nobody will even know.
I'm just saying.
So it's, I'm okay with the number.
Jen Botterill effect on hockey. It's the Jen Botterill effect on hockey.
No,
it's terrible. She advocates for it every night. She doesn't want players in fear on the ice. She doesn't think that's the right way to play the game. And I'm telling you, that type of attitude is floating its way through the league, and it's terrible.
It's bigger than this. It's bigger than this suspension and the code.
It is. I agree.
It's a culture issue in hockey. Okay, we're talking about the World Junior team in 2018, where there's a lot of stuff hockey can't. I'm just saying that there's a culture, there's a perception out there that the culture of the sport of hockey is flawed. Okay, and fair, not fair, indifferent. There's some data to back that things have to change. Now, if you look at the NHL's point of view on this, okay, so if they're to turn around right now and say, you know what, that little peckerhead deserved to get his cross check in the head. He crossed the line, or whatever you want to call it, and he did, and everybody knows that. His teammates know it. He would have got it worse from the veterans on that hockey club.
Okay, so
he got into the room than he got it from Morgan Rielly.
And so let me jump in here, John, because I want to say something that I think is important that hasn't really been out there. Is I had heard that Claude Giroux, at the end of that game, closed that door and told him in front of the entire room, this is not what we do. This is not how we play the game, right? That nonsense will not happen again.
Right.
And
that's my point here.
But hold on. But I think it's important that people realize and know that even players on his own team recognize that the code is what the code is. There are certain things you do not do.
Yeah.
And again, the Muffins don't like the fact that the code exists, but it does.
Forget about the Muffins for a second, okay? And I'm talking about global, global building of the game in today's age, okay? You can't say code, right? As soon as that word code comes in, there's an unwritten code that says that you can't show up the other team. It's there. It'll always be there. It will never go away. But the problem here is the NHL's back's against the wall, and you've got one side that's saying, yeah, you know what, the kid shouldn't have done it. Maybe 1 to 2 games, move forward, right? And then you got another side that's saying he cross-checked him in the head. Doesn't matter what he did. He should get 15 or 20 games. He literally took his stick, whether he was aiming for the shoulder, head, the glass behind him, it doesn't matter. He made contact with the young man's head, and that's not a hockey play, and that needs to be punished. So you've got that, and as soon as people start saying code and culture and misogyny, all that gets kind of blended together. I'm telling you.
But that's the problem, John. That's the problem. You're
Right.
listening. There's too many people who are waiting to be outraged about the next thing, right?
But that's life.
They
That's
don't
life.
even watch.
That's not
John,
just
half
hockey.
of these people
That's not just
that are on
hockey.
Twitter and on Instagram and
Yes.
everywhere else that are complaining, they don't even watch the game. They're not
Right.
even watching the game.
There's
They're
people
looking
that are
for a
mad
reason.
about Taylor Swift going to the Super Bowl because she shouldn't be there because she's distracting from the player. She's bringing in the NFL $300 million in additional revenue, and then more people watched the Super Bowl this year than ever and actually watched it. My wife sat and watched most of the Super Bowl. Normally, she would not watch it. My daughters watched all the Super Bowl. Normally, they're not going to watch it, right?
Listen, in my house, we don't say anything negative about Taylor Swift. I'm scared like lightning or bricks or something would be thrown at me if I did. So, I don't.
She's fantastic.
She's
great. She's just a tremendous human being. It's not a bad thing if you're a young girl wants to emulate Taylor Swift. I'd be okay with that.
I don't want that karma or any kind of bad blood. See
So
what I did there? See,
so
Nolan caught that. Nolan caught
how
that.
her effect is on the NFL. It's fantastic. I get what the NHL did here, John. You got to think of, you do. You're building you've got expansion teams looking. You have to find that happy medium, and I think they really did. I think 5 games is fair. It's more than I would have given them, but I understand the reason why. Because you can't. Because if they say it's 1 game or 2 games, right? Next time, did you see the guy, the Detroit player, do the gritty after he's scored in a shootout?
Yeah.
So that, now what happens is.
So what if I could show you though 5 other plays? Let's be honest though. And this is the part that drives me mental. When people talk about let's grow the game and let's do all of these fun buzzwords and let's not offend anybody, I think we got to call a timeout on this. Because number one, show me 1 time that you've been in a rink 1,000 times. I've been in the rink 1,000 times. Nolan, you've been in the rink 1,000 times. Show me the time you've ever been in a rink and a fight's gone on and everybody hasn't been out of their seat cheering. Show me the 1 time. It's never happened, right? Never happened. Now, let's talk about, this has happened and geez, we've got to make a call because people are outraged and and all that fun stuff. I could show you 10 examples of hits to the head, sticks to the head, away from the play that nobody talks about. No one talks about. That happened every single game. I am no longer interested in hearing what people are crying about because they saw something on Instagram and Twitter and they want to get followers. So they post up something that says, this is terrible. We should really stop this. I'm done with it. No, we got to stop this, guys. Yeah. At a certain point, hockey is a physical sport. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it was a great. Yeah, but let's move on. But here, just
you don't like it. I'm sorry. It's not the game for you.
Cross check to the head. Player in a vulnerable position. No, not part of a play.
3 games. 3 games. I agree.
Yeah. I agree. I would have given them 3 games too, but I understand why they gave them 5. Here, and we can look at it from a Leaf perspective or a Leaf fan perspective and say, okay, well, let's see now what Trader Brad has up his sleeve, and if he's got some moves that he's working on, he better expedite it, because if you go 0-5 on this Morgan Rielly suspension, you're going to have to play 600 hockey for the rest of the year to get in.
So listen, let's talk about that's a great segue here. So we've now got, with Morgan out, everybody knows my secret love affair that I have with Timothy Liljegren. I love Timothy Liljegren. I'm not sure that he's a number 1 pairing defenseman on any NHL team. But we got Liljegren and Brody as our number 1. We've got everybody's favorite 7th defenseman, Simon Benoit and McCabe, as our 3-4, and Gio and Lagesson. Lagesson, who I thought was, erased from life because we haven't seen him in forever. And I think the coach came out and said today that Connor Timmins has mono.
Yeah. And there's actually some other breaking news that just happened.
Oh,
so no Morgan Rielly tonight, as we all expected. Also, no Mitch Marner or John Tavares. They're both out of the lineup with an illness.
So that's probably mono too.
well,
So tonight,
mononucleosis can go through a dressing room, and I've been in a dressing room that it went through in a minute. In a minute, all of a sudden you got. So this could be something that we want to keep our eyes on.
Guys, this could be problematic.
Well, mono, you're 10 days down.
That's what I'm saying. But hold on,
Yeah.
If you're 10 days down, let's talk about this objectively. If you're Morgan Rielly for a minimum of 5, right, and now you're down your first line right winger and your second line center, guys, there's trouble in River City.
Yeah. Who's in for them?
Let me check. I just saw that.
Actually, that's a great point. McMahon will probably go in. I imagine that would push Kampf up the line.
Alex Steves is called up.
Well, Steves is up.
Good.
Okay, you know what? Listen, I'm a fan of Steves. I've always liked Steves. I hope he gets a chance and does real well here. I like Steves. Wow, that's that is some breaking news tonight, guys.
Yeah, crazy. Nolan, the Cub reporter, breaking it live on the air.
I love it. I love it.
So Steve's in the AHL is 38 points, 38 games. Good year. It's about time for him to get a shot, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. So what's the week look like? I know St. Louis tonight. Who else is there?
We got Philadelphia on Thursday.
And Toronto or Philly?
In Toronto. So 3 straight games in Toronto, and then next Monday in St. Louis.
Oh, okay. St. Louis playing good. They're playing a lot better than
before we get it. Before we move on here, I just want to address a point that's been burning in my craw all week. And it wouldn't be a show for me if I didn't get a coaching issue in. But I want everybody to think back to the Timothy Liljegren injury earlier in the season when Marchand gave him the old slew foot in the corner and he was out. And we had Ryan Reeves sitting on the bench, and the Boston coach dared him to put him out on the lineup, and he didn't do a damn thing. And you guys will remember, I was pissed. I was very critical of that fact. I thought that was a poor coaching decision. And I look back at the incident now that's taken back with Rielly, and he did put Reeves on the ice. And so does that say to you guys that he admitted that, you know what, maybe I didn't make the right call there? Because there has been, listen, nobody in the world is more critical of Sheldon Keefe than I am. But I also applaud the change that I've seen in Sheldon Keefe this year. I wish I had seen it 3 years ago, frankly, where he's not afraid to speak up. He's not afraid to say things anymore. He's not walking back comments all the time. He's coming out and he's a little pissed off after games and he's calling guys out. He's saying my best players aren't my best players. I like this. I wish I had seen it years ago. But does the reaction to what happened with Morgan Rielly and the non-reaction of what happened 15 or 25 games ago in Boston show growth from the coach? What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's apples and oranges. I don't disagree, but in the Marchand Liljegren one, we all agreed at the time we thought it was dirty. It was a different. When you break the code, if we're allowed to say that, you break the code against your team.
On this show, John, we're allowed to say the code.
You break the code against your team and show us up, on a rivalry game, blah, 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 blah. That fired him up. But yeah, I think he got a lot of critique back then. Where was Reeves? And And then even Reeves said, "Oh, I was on the ice with him, or I never got on the ice again." Yeah, he did. But you understand
the point I'm making, right?
I think Reeves, strikes me as the type that would think about it after the fact and say, shit, I should have maybe sent a bigger message on that last 5-second shift. St. Louis plays a physical, heavy game. They've got some big boys, and he played there. I expect when he's on the ice tonight, I think you're going to see a different player. I think he's looked not bad in the little ice. He's getting 5-6 minutes or whatever, and he hasn't looked horrible the last couple of games.
I agree.
I thought he's been okay. He's had some chances. He scored a goal in Winnipeg. Is he going to be in the lineup in the playoffs if you want to go deep? No, he's not that guy. But he's a good. The guys like him. If the guys didn't like him, he'd be out of here by now.
We all agree. Listen, every dressing room Ryan Reeves has ever been a part of, everybody's raved about Ryan Reeves. Yeah. He's the social guy. Everybody loves him. Nobody's going to say anything negative about Ryan Reeves from a team building perspective. Nobody's going to say anything. Here's my question to you guys, though, and I'm trying to be as fair and objective as I possibly can here. How many chances do you need to get where you keep saying things like, yeah, but if, and yeah, if that situation, and I wish I would have done it different. How many times when your job on the team is to be the guy, and we brought you here, and nobody was happier when they brought Ryan Reeves in than I was, right? I'll go on record. I thought Ryan Reeves was a great signing. I thought it was going to free up Matthews. I thought it was going to free up Marner and Tavares, and they were going to play with a little more gumption and feel great about themselves. How many times do you have to have an opportunity for Ryan Reeves to do something when he doesn't do it, and then have a team meeting and then say, oh, it's going to change. We're going to be different. And then you see the play, and then it's the same thing. Like at what
it's league wide, you know what? It's league wide, and the reason why, and this is the same reason why, there has been less fighting. It seems like it's coming back a little bit, which is, to me, is good. The accountability, but it's the fine line, man. It's the difference between getting into a playoff spot and getting guaranteed 2 home dates that are $3-4 million in the playoffs. Right. There's a big problem with that instigator. Right. So if he goes and that was a perfect time. I totally agree. But I'm seeing a lot of guys hesitant in doing things because of that fine line, because of that. Hey, I don't want to take an instigator penalty in a 2-2 game because they're going to score in the power play, and I'm going to be watching the next 6 games from the press box, and I'm going to be in the minors.
Okay. So hold on though.
That's a mindset now that was never there before.
But hold on. I want to be, John, I want to be very clear. I'm trying to be objective here, and I'm trying to hear what you're saying, but I want to go back. I want to go back to the Chicago game. Okay. When we played Chicago on the road in Chicago, okay, the game is in overtime. The coach has the ability to call a timeout. We've got We've got Matthew Nyes and Max Domi on the ice. Okay. Face off in their end. Just over a minute to go in the game. Face off in the offensive zone. We don't call a timeout. Okay. We don't call a timeout. We lose the face off. Nyes pinches. He gets caught. They go up the ice and they score. I went apocalyptic on that game. And everybody told me, John, you're overreacting. It's only a game. It's a point. It's an overtime. And it was early in the season. And everybody told me to relax and simmer down. And now I hear, yeah, but you know what? Everything is so close. And everything's so tight. You know what? I don't want to take a penalty because I might lose a game. What is the difference? Why can you not criticize a coach for a terrible decision?
Well, you can. You can criticize him.
But that's the point.
But on the other hand, you got to praise him. How many decisions did he make in that game that worked out, right?
Not many. That's my whole point though, John. You can't give a pass to guys on plays where they passed like you could have made a difference. You could have chosen to affect the game. You didn't. And then say things later on in the season when the season gets shortened up and points are tight, when you gave points away early in the season and the excuse was, well, it's early in the season.
Yeah.
Right? You can't.
I hear you. It's tough. It's tough, because it depends on who you're. You can look at it from a fan's perspective, like we do. You can look at it from the player's perspective. You can look at it from the player's perspective and how he's going to be, accepted or shunned by his teammates based on a split-second decision that he's got to make in real time. Right? You got to look at it from a coach's decision. He's got to win, or he's not going to have a job. Manager's decision, okay, well, you know what, I've got to win long term, and I'm going to get pressure if I don't make the playoff. There's a lot of factors, and we can sit here and debate about it for days, and nobody's right.
But let's be fair about it. Like, if we're going to be fair about it, I'm looking at it from a fan's perspective, and I'm going, you know what? I'm looking at this, and I'm going, that doesn't make sense to me as a fan who watches every game, who has a pretty decent understanding of what goes on and whatnot. I'm not talking about it from a player perspective, because listen, you're going to tell me that those guys in the room are insulated and are with each other. They understand, you know what? Everybody gives the puck away. Maybe you did it at the wrong time. It happened, whatever. Those boys in the room, they're tight. They're staying with each other. I'm not concerned about that. I'm not concerned about the coach and his feeling that he has to win, because if he doesn't win, he's going to get fired, especially in Toronto, because that doesn't seem to ever matter. And as a general manager, you're a first-year general manager. Look at the press, John. What has everybody said about Tree Living since he's been here? He gets a pass. He gets a pass. Year one, you get a pass. You inherited this Dubas stuff. Really?
He doesn't get a pass from him.
Who's
he's got to do something right now. If he's got mono in his dressing room and he's got some deals that he can pull the trigger on, he needs to pull them. So you need a defenseman. You need an NHL defenseman now. But John, if you've got a deal that you're trying to work out, get that done now.
But we've needed that defenseman for the last 3 months. What are we talking about? Like, we can't. Like, this is what I'm saying. This is where I got to call pause on everything and go. We as fans have to stop with the, you know what? We everybody knew 3 months ago this defense was not going to cut it. We all knew this. Here we are. We're in February. The same problems that we had at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, but you're 10 games over 500. You haven't really had a great season. You've had spotty goaltending all year. You've had a number of injuries.
But what is management?
I say it every week. I'm okay, but you got to figure out from here on. There's nothing you can do, John, about what's happened for the last 50 games. You can deal with what's going to happen for the next 32. We could sit here and talk about the last. Who cares? It's done. And you're in a pretty good spot for a team that has, in my opinion, is underperforming. You're in a pretty good spot.
But we all agree
you could be 500 with this club right now. 500 quite easily. Right, you're 10 games over. You just have to play the same winning percentage for the rest of the year, and you're locked in. You're in, and that's all you need to be is get in and get hot at the right time. You don't need to have 140 points. What did that do to Boston last year?
Hold on,
didn't get there.
I want it, but let's go back. No, because this is we're playing revisionist history here. Let's go back to what we said in the beginning of the year. Everybody seemed to say that this team was a 110-point team.
Yeah.
So if we all agree that we're underperforming,
yeah,
I think it's fair. Nolan, underperforming from your expectation?
Yeah, I think so. Compared to years past.
Okay. John, underperforming to your expectation.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Nolan, how long have you felt that we have been underperforming?
Probably since game 5.
Game 5. Okay, John, how long have you felt that we've been underperforming?
It's been up and down for me. I think they've had some spurts where they're real good.
Okay, so
we get back and forth all season. Back and forth all season. The 2 Winnipeg games before the All-Star break, everything.
Love them. hold on. The Nashville game, we all agreed. Best game we played in 5 years. The LA game on the road, fantastic. We all loved it. All I'm saying is, if you've said from game 5 that we've underperformed, and you've said all year we've been up and down, haven't quite found our stride, what's going on? We are in, after the All-Star break, we got 30 games to go in the season. What has changed? Absolutely the square root of you know what. And all I'm saying is, at a certain point, you got to stop giving people passes. There's been nothing that has been done to change the trajectory of where we're going. Everybody agrees we're not where we want to be. And you know what we do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. There's been no change. Everything's been status quo. There's been times where you want guys to fight. Nobody fights. There's been Austin Matthews is going to have possibly the greatest goal scoring season we've seen since 1990. And you know what? Where would we be if he was having a 40 goal season? We're not even in the playoffs, you guys.
There's no right answer. You don't know that. You don't know that.
I do.
No, you don't.
You
got to go back and take him out of the lineup and play all the games. Maybe they play different. Maybe they play better. Like that. I just want to be sure he's huge. He's having a great year.
Maybe if we take a 50 goal scorer 50 games into the season out of the lineup, the Leafs are a better team.
I didn't say that. I'm saying that you can't sit here and tell everybody that you know that they're a 500 team or a non-playoff team, because you don't.
Okay, well, hold on.
That, but you don't
hold
know.
No, I can't. No, hold on.
You got to play the games. You got to go back in history and play the games. Stop talking about the past and figure out what we're doing, Brad, for a living. That's what we need to do. Right?
I can't even disagree with you anymore. If you go back and look, Austin Matthews has single-handedly won this team 5 or 6 games. Easy this year, just on goals. Yep. Easy. Just by himself. You take 10 points off the table right now. Are we in a playoff?
Who's to say somebody else didn't step up and do that in those games? My point on it is you can't.
I can't get there.
I mean, it's very, very. You don't know.
But where have you seen that?
You're spending energy focusing on things that irrelevant.
Who's going to
figure
step
out
up?
what you need to do to move forward and do it as the manager?
Is Bertuzzi going to step up? We're paying Bertuzzi $1 million a goal.
Yeah,
I agree with Johnny Mac there a little bit. You
know what? We can't focus on what happened.
I know we got to move forward. I get it. You're not wrong, but I'm just saying.
10 games over 500, right?
Yeah,
we got the best goal scorer in the NHL that can turn it. Any night can step it up. You got to get some other guys towing the site right rope, and at the same time, what Morgan Rielly did last game brings teams together.
I agree.
Brings teams together. That 5 games that you're going to miss him out of the lineup might have made this team a little bit more cohesive, and a little bit when a guy like Rielly, very well respected in the room, gentleman,
not a dirty player,
he's going to go and do that. Now maybe a Max Domi and a Tyler Bertuzzi, and not young guys, but not wily old vets that you can now say, hey, you know what? Maybe I need to change the way I play the game. So we'll see. Tonight's going to be a good test. St. Louis is a good team.
Very good team.
They're playing better. They play a heavy style. They can play that style that Berube put in there, and Braden Shen plays hockey. Braden Shen plays hockey the right way. He's going to be heavy on you. He's going to hit you. He's going to hold you accountable. He'll fight you if he has to, and he can put the puck in the back of the net. They've got some big, heavy defensemen. I'm excited. I think it's going to be a good game. Robert Thomas, local Toronto kid, coming home. He always seems to step up.
He's having a great year too.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And
he's a great
for those
player.
People who don't watch St. Louis tonight, I want you to pay attention. There's a kid named Neighbors who plays for St. Toulouse.
Yeah.
And
Jake Neighbors, I think. Jake?
I think it's Jake, yeah. I'm telling you, watch this kid tonight, because I guarantee you, just when he's on the ice, just pay attention to him. That's all I'm saying. You're going to see a lot
I'm going to tell our listeners and our viewers to watch Colton Parayko, because I believe that he's in play.
He absolutely is in play.
Yeah. I think he's in play here. They've been linked to him for years.
6 1/4 on the ticket, though.
Doesn't matter at the end of the year, and you're going to have you get Mono now, so you're going to have, if you got some guys in and out of the lineup here for a while with some sickness, they can figure it out. That can be done.
Brandon Pridham's great on that kind of stuff. Let me ask you guys this question: Topi Nieminen, 40 points in the AHL. Does anybody have a problem moving Topi Nieminen?
No, doesn't seem like a kind of guy that we need on our back.
I don't want them to move. I don't want them to move Minton, Cowan, Nyes, and as far as the young guys, anybody else to me is on the table, including Hildeby. So I don't think they like Hildeby as much as
everybody else seems to like Hildeby.
I think that they would. There's something that's deficient in his game, or he would have got a start on the LA trip.
So let me ask you guys this, and I'm just curious. This is I've got nothing. This is just my own. We all know NHL defensemen take time to develop and to come along, significantly more so than forwards. Topi Nieminen has come in with a very high pedigree and is very well spoken, and he's doing well offensively in the minors. Does that sound like are you not always as an NHL team looking for quality puck moving defensemen?
Yeah.
So do we really want to give that guy away?
Well, it depends on who for. Right?
No, okay, but fair enough. But I'm just saying, I feel like you might have that guy and we're giving him away to try to reacquire him later on. That's all I'm saying. I could be dead wrong on it.
I mean, I think, if you look at those type of players, Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes and Adam Fox and
I'm not saying Topi Nieminen is.
No, I'm not. I'm saying those are the type of players that, when you consider, the defense positions change to a point where, you've got forwards basically playing defense the way that these guys move the puck. I think there's a lot of Topi Niemilas out there. I don't think he's that's special in that regard.
No, that's a fair point. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it would depend. Are you gonna trade him for a depth forward? No, God no. But if you can get a
top four defenseman, I can listen to
that. And some proven guy that is going to come in. We'll see.
Okay, so listen.
Yeah, I like Minton, Cowan. I don't want to see those guys go. I think Robertson's a shoe-in. He's gone. And draft picks.
Okay, so
give away some picks.
Listen, we're getting close to game time here, so I want to get going. But before
I want to watch the pregame. Yeah.
But before we get going tonight, I wanted to touch on something because the NHL announced that we were going to do a best on best tournament. Minus Russia for whatever reason, but that is what it is. Canada, the U.S., Sweden, and Finland. I wanted to touch just because there is stuff going on externally with those 5 players that have been charged.
Yeah.
But the 2018 team right now, which includes Cale Makar, who we all know I'm a massive, massive Cale Makar fan.
Yeah.
They are excluded from Hockey Canada per se.
Yeah.
As part of that team that's been suspended. The NHL has said that this and the Olympics will be an NHL sanctioned event.
Just this. The Olympics is Hockey Canada.
Well, the Olympics is hockey. Okay, the Olympics is so. But the best on best 4-on-4 right now, Cale Makar would be eligible for.
Correct.
My question to you guys is this: at this point in time, when we've established these are the 5 guys that have been involved and these are the 5 guys that have been charged, do we think it's still fair to penalize that entire team?
No.
For what?
You know what? That's not going to. As soon as these charges get before the courts and things like that, Hockey Canada is going to back off, or the IIHF. I don't know. It's a little bit of both. Then they better back off because there's a lot of guys that have a lot of backing. And if you're saying that because he played on this team, he can't, and 5 of the guys on the team were bad guys that did something, you're in for a big. So I expect that's going to be looked at.
You think it's going to resolve itself
very soon? Yeah.
Okay.
It's out there. My problem with this, they call this best on best. Okay. And I think they made a big mistake here. You've got some Czech players. They're pretty good players. David Pastrnak.
You got Slovak players that are really good.
You got Leon Draisaitl, top 5 in the NHL, is a German. So I think
I don't disagree, John.
I don't like this format. I think it's it's not an inclusive format. I liked what they did last time. You couldn't have 15 teams, so let's have the young guys. Let's have the rest of Europe,
North America, and all that fun jazz.
I think they rushed on this, and I think they're going to get it. They're going to get it back. I mean, you're talking about omitting. This isn't best on best. If Leon Draisaitl's not in this tournament, it's not best on best. David Pastrnak isn't in this tournament.
So let me ask you this, because I take a lot of heat for saying some things and questioning the NHL, and I hear people say all the time, "You're going to tell me that you're smarter than Gary Bettman, you're smarter than Bill Daly. They know so much more." If they're so smart, why didn't they do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's
a fair question to ask, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It doesn't make sense. They're not calling it best on best. They're calling it Four Nations Cup. I think they called it. Similar to what they call. They have a couple other tournaments like that over in Europe. I think they're making a mistake.
I agree.
Whether they rectify that mistake or not, that'll probably be. I think the PA is gonna have to listen to its membership, and when you've got some of these top end players that say, also instead of the All-Star game next year, you're going to have a best on best, and David Pastrnak and Leon Draisaitl, every time they're tapped, they show up at the All-Star game and they do their corporate appearances and they take their shots and they go in the skills competition, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't go back.
Okay, hold on. John, I don't mean to interrupt you. They just posted the lineup tonight. Yeah. The second line is Alex, Steve, Pontus Holmberg, and Ryan Reeves. The third line is Bertuzzi, Domi, and Robertson.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. They just posted it while we were talking. I didn't. Yeah. Sorry, I apologize for interrupting. I just think Ryan Reeves is our second line right winger.
Wow. He's on the second line. That's not a second line.
Woo!
Somebody's being a little facetious with the graphics. But anyway, let's move on here. Let's predictions. So what do we got? We got St. Louis.
Can I do one more? Let's do one more thing before. I want to get your take on one thing before we hit predictions. A lot of rumors this week coming out about Arizona, and a lot of rumors about Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Do you think the NHL forgoes the windfall of an expansion franchise and the cash that comes with that in Utah by moving Arizona to Utah?
Yeah, because they'll get the money anyway, because they'll buy it from the Arizona guy and sell it to them for. The NHL has had ownership in Phoenix or Arizona, whatever you want to call them, for 20 years, right? So that would be probably what will happen is they'll force that guy out and move the franchise to Salt Lake. I'm hearing Atlanta too. I'm hearing Atlanta for the third time. Yeah, I'm hearing that they're starting to dig a rink right now, and they wouldn't have done that if they didn't have sort of an idea.
A wink and a nod. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, yeah. All right.
We talked about that a couple weeks ago. I think big expansion coming for sure.
Yeah, no,
I think it's Salt Lake for Phoenix.
Salt Lake for sure. But I was wondering about whether or not they tried to force Phoenix to hold on and try and get a new developer and something down there and take the money for the expansion that you're going to get on Utah.
Well, they want to be in Phoenix for TV purposes.
I understand that. Top 20 TV market, right?
So we got St. Louis twice, Philly, and who else?
And Anaheim.
What's your prediction, Nolan?
I'm going 7 points out of 8. the Leafs last year went 12-2-1 with Rielly out of the lineup. They always just seem to step up for some reason. So I don't know.
What do you got, John?
Okay, so we got St. Louis twice, and we
Philly
got
and Anaheim.
I'm going 2 points. I think we beat Anaheim. Listen, St. Louis tonight with no Tavares and no Marner, I think we're going to get slaughtered. Our home record has been abysmal on ice this year. Missing 3 of our top 5 guys, not a good sign. I don't like that. I don't like the way St. Louis plays. They play very heavy, regardless of what our suspensions say. We don't. Philadelphia is like Ottawa to me. They always play us tough, man. It doesn't seem to matter.
Well, they're playing heavy too.
Yeah, Anaheim we can beat. Anaheim, I'm confident we can beat Anaheim. I'm going to go 2 points.
I'm going to go 4. I think 500. Probably split with St. Louis, and we'll see. I say 4 though. Be an interesting week though. I also predict that for living, depending on how these first couple of games go, has to make a move. And let's really watch the developing story with because Mono's no joke.
I will bet you when we come on next week, nothing changes.
Okay.
Wow.
Good night, folks. Enjoy the game.
Go Leafs, go.
Thanks to Bjorn and Don Cherries. Talk soon.
Oh, by the way, hold on, Johnny. I want to talk to you about Bjorn. What does Bjorn do? I've had so many people come to me and say, Johnny, I understand Don Cherry's Sports Grill. We can go there. We can have a great bite to eat. But what is Bjorn?
It's a hockey stick, hockey equipment company that originated in Finland. Yeah, the same guys that were involved originally with the Titan brand.
Wasn't that the Gretzky stick?
What's that? Yeah.
With the TPM 2020? Wasn't that the same?
Yeah, I used to use them too. But yeah, so we make Bjorn makes sticks and gloves and starting to get into the apparel business, jerseys and things like that. So website about to launch with some e-commerce stuff on it, and able to buy sticks and accessories online. So we'll share that in the coming weeks when it goes live. And it's a good company, great sticks. My son uses them. They're great.
Hey, listen. So if you're a minor hockey league and you're looking for sticks, Bjorn Hockey.
You got it.
All right,
guys. Have a good week.